Hi, this is Anna Imagination. We are going to talk about perspective thinking. This is the space where I just define it. There are three primary qualifications, differences between perspective thinking and let's call it societal thinking. Societal thinking is probably the best way to explain this. So, with societal thinking, there are three primary things that we're seeing a lot of. And the first one is hierarchy. It's I'm better than you. Bottom line. It's showing that there is a ladder system and it's definitely this way. And there's a hierarchy. How old you are puts you down at the bottom. What gender you are is going to determine if you stay at the bottom or move up. What race you are puts you at the bottom or moves you up. Shouldn't be wrong, unethical, but we do it. Religion immediately separates you and puts you at the bottom or it elevates you to the next level. Gender, age, heritage, culture, education, possessions, money, wealth. These are all categories that in the current societal thinking is a hierarchy. And the more you have, the more you fit the ideal, the higher you up in that hierarchy ladder, which really sucks for everybody else who doesn't meet the standards of the system. That's where we see racism. That's where we see misogyny. That's where we see a lack of tolerance for our differences. The second thing is our focus, absolute focus on similarities. We have this blinder on. This is a beautiful psychological thing that once you study psychology, or if you just study focal point or positivity, this comes out. If you focus on X, you're going to see X. It is just the way our brains are, it is the way our brains filter information. When we get into positive affirmation classes or manifestation, this is a common example we see where I want you to look around the room and pick out as many colors as you can that's red. Now, if you look around the room, do it now. Look around the room and find as much as you can that's just red. Look at all the red. And yeah, just take a few minutes and focus on the red. Count. How many things did you find red? Now, close your eyes. How many items were blue? You're not going to be able to remember anything that's blue. You're going to remember red because you were focused on red. We do the same thing in our society. In our society, we focus a lot on where the similarities are. So we walk through life, we walk through social situations, literally scanning for similarities. Who is like me? Who is similar to me? And as a result, every time we identify something different than ourselves, we immediately label that as bad, because we're looking for identification and we're looking for validation. We are seeking to validate our own identity in the projection of other people. As a result, we are seeking out people who are like us. If you had full autonomy and a defined self, you would not need to do this. It is a handicap for lacking autonomy, authority, and identity. That being said, the societal thinking very much focuses on our similarities and bans and mislabels our differences as being intolerable and dirty and nasty, and we throw those away. That's why we have a lot of pull to categorizing via gender, categorizing via age, education, religion, heritage, culture, because we are filtering out everything that isn't like us. And that's part of the problem. The third thing is the priority. In the societal thinking, there is a huge priority on the opinions and perspectives of yourself is more important than the authority, autonomy, and perspective of others. In societal thinking, there is this massive belief among many people that their opinions and their perspective is more important than the authority and the freedom and the rights of others. We see this a lot with people who have a subconscious perspective mind of three. This is very, very, very common that this is like the thing with people who are in level three. To summarize, level three perspective is where narcissism is. If you know a narcissist, they are in the perspective, the third perspective, which is when you're 3 years old and you have full independence and you say, no, now is the time for my authority and my identity. Now is the time for my autonomy, which is great when you're 3. But when you're a 40-year-old person and you never were allowed to process that information, and now you're living your life with this concept of, I'm the only one who matters, I'm independent, I don't need anyone, and everyone else can walk, can lay on the ground so I can walk on them. Well, that's narcissism. That's not healthy. That's because that person, the narcissist, was abused at that third level perspective and was told that that's the only place where they're safe, and now they're stuck there. That's where narcissism comes from. So what ends up happening is you have a lot of people who have this attitude of their own priorities, their own perspective, and their own beliefs are superior. It's very much superiority thinking. That's what it is. Um, it's very much superior to the freedoms and autonomy of other people. Now, perspective thinking completely changes the game on all of this. The first thing we do is we get rid of superiority. Superiority does not exist in perspective thinking. The first thing we do is we take that hierarchy and we get rid of it. It flips it on its side. And now we're going the first perspective, the second perspective, the third perspective. Those are stages. Those are just the order of evolution. They're not better or good. They are not awakened. They are just different. There is no good or bad. In fact, I hate hearing the word awakened. Every time I hear it now, I cringe because it's very much a superiority mindset. And if you're truly awakened, you actually abandon that superiority mindset. So anyone who walks around claiming that they're awakened is actually flouting their own superiority, which contradicts being awakened to begin with. So if you claim you're awakened, if you think you're awakened and you're walking around spouting out that word, congratulations, you're a level 6 perspective. Once you get to level 7, you stop thinking like that. You really need to stop thinking like that because that's hierarchical thinking from societal thinking. So with perspective thinking, there is no hierarchy. There is no superiority. No one is awakened. You are no more awakened than a 5-year-old is awakened to a 2-year-old. No one is awakened. It's just the next perspective. And it just happens in the order. Truth is, when you get to perspective thinking, you realize, this is my favorite thing about perspective thinking, that you can only encompass 3 perspectives at one time. So if you are a perspective 7, you are limited to 5, 6, and 7. You lose the knowledge, the wisdom, and the information of all the other perspectives. You require all the other perspectives to help you out because your weakness are their strengths, and vice versa. So there is no hierarchy. There is no superiority. Get rid of that. You're not awakened. You're just at a different stage. The second thing is when you reach this stage with perspective thinking, there is no gender. You don't see people with how old they are, what education they have, what religion they are. You completely drop all of that. Suddenly it's, which perspective are you in? Where's your ethical perspective? And where's your subconscious mind perspective? Once you have that information, then you can start communicating with them because you know how a second level tribal perspective communicates versus a 5th level entrepreneur perspective communicates. They just communicate differently. Once you understand perspective thinking, you can hear the words they use because they all use different words. The people who are in perspective 2 speak differently than the people who are in perspective 5. Once you understand that subtlety, you can listen to just the way they speak, and within a few sentences, you go, oh, I know subconsciously who I'm dealing with and ethically who I'm dealing with. So we're going to reach a stage with perspective thinking where you open up to not judging, but assessing, understanding, accepting a person based off of their ethical perspective. Nothing more. Nothing more. You will not consider their subconscious mind. Now, their subconscious perspective is going to interfere because that's what subconscious perspectives do. And that person very well might be a 5 ethical perspective, but they might have trauma. So you're interacting with their perspective that's stuck at 2. And if that's the case, then, well, In perspective thinking, I teach people how to tell the difference between when you're speaking to an identity and when you're speaking to a subconscious mind. Really simple. I'll just do it here. So you're talking to a subconscious mind when it's fear based, and you're talking to an identity when it's love based. That's it. If they're talking out of love, you're talking to their identity. If you are talking to their fear, then you are talking to their subconscious mind. Do not engage with fear, engage only with love. Put love out there, and you're speaking from your identity. It will also encourage them to reciprocate out of love, and it will tap into their identity. But the minute you start engaging out of fear, now it's two subconscious minds engaging out of fear, and you're both interacting with each other with mental illness. With perspective thinking, that goes away, that stops, and it becomes two identities speaking out of love with each other. The third thing is a focus and celebration of the differences rather than our similarities. It becomes an exciting adventure in perspective thinking when you start to look for our differences, because through our differences, you get to learn. Through our differences, you get to figure out who can help you out and who you can help. It suddenly becomes ooh, let me find somebody who's different perspectives because I can do ABC, but I can't do XYZ. So, and this is my favorite part about perspective thinking, is when you realize that you have three people in the room and all three of you have a different perspective and you're all seeing a situation differently. This is where I get excited. And then I say, okay, can we all compare perspectives? Because I want to see how we're all different. And it's exciting. Oh my God, is it exciting? So instead of wearing those blinders where you're walking around scanning for everything that's red, what you're doing instead is looking at the full rainbow. It is stunning. Looking for your similarity is looking at one color in the rainbow. Focusing on the full differences, you get to see the rainbow. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. So this is perspective thinking. This is a huge shift when you start traumatic healing. It's a huge shift from societal thinking and moving you over to perspective thinking. And these are the three things I focus on. And all of my training, all of my conditioning, all of the mantras and positive affirmations I put you through, all focus on adopting these particular um, 3 points while unlearning the societal's methods of doing things. It's absolutely extraordinary. So that is perspective thinking. If you are interested in learning more about perspective thinking, combination theory, and traumatic healing, take a look at my website, www.honnesthealinggarden.org. On the front page, homepage, there is a whole welcome. Let's get you started. Where do you want to go in life? And you've got 3 options. You can choose your option. It's going to direct you and it will get you right in there and get you started. It's absolutely beautiful, automated, and ready to go. So take a look at honnesthealinggarden.org and you can start your path right away. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.